Hey, quick video here to show you something in Ableton. When you're using Massive, for instance, or any kind of VST, and you're coming back to the software and you have your Midi controller that's mapped to certain parameters, like, I don't know, the filter, the volume of an oscillator, something like that. And you don't want to have to redo that mapping every single time. There is a way to kind of like have an automatic mapping of certain sliders and certain controls of your MIDI controller mapped directly to the VST. So how do we do that? So first of all, let's get rid of everything here. I'm going to start from scratch, and there we go. I'm going to delete this, and I'm just going to add a basic massive patch here. I'm not going to play because I'm not capturing Ableton's sound right now, but we don't really need it. So right now, if I move, let's say this controller, it's already mapped, so it works right away. But normally, it's not supposed to. You're going to move your sliders, and since they're not mapped to the controls, it's not going to work. So what you have to do is go to Massive X here, you expand that little arrow, and then you can press Configure, and you can add a bunch of controls in here. So let's say I want to automate the cutoff, for instance. So I want the second input here to control the frequency cutoff. So let's just put that in here. And okay, my do you want to change it? Yeah, actually it's already mapped to the fifth one, so this one is already mapped to the cutoff. So I'm gonna take this one, which is this one here. So this will have to be mapped to a macro in Ableton in order to be accessed easily by the instrument. So what I mean here is that I could go ahead and press Ctrl M and manually map this cutoff button to the MIDI macro, and then I can move here. I can move the knob, and it would move the value of the cutoff at the same time. But this is not what I want. I kind of want to have this automatically every single time. So for instance, for Massive, I'm going to be using pretty much the same setup every single time. So position 1, level 1, position 2, level 2 cutoff. Like, this is all things that I'm going to be using a lot. So I want them mapped to all of my sliders right away when I open Ableton. So in order to do that, we're going to have to group Massive X. So let's group it, Control G. And we're going to open the macros, and we're going to map each single macro to each single button here. So let's actually get rid of all of these here. Let's press Configure and get rid of I don't know, has automation. Okay, there we go. I'm going to get rid of all of the controls, and I'm just going to get the ones that I'm interested in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All of these knobs I want to control using my MIDI controller. So here, if I go out of the configure mode and then I go into the map mode for my macros, I'm going to do the same. So here I take position 1, I map it to the first macro, and same for the level 1 here, etc., etc. There we go, macro, etc., cutoff, and resonance, attack, and release. There we go. So now if I go out of the MIDI, the macro mapping modes, I can just have like each of these 8 macro knobs control the parameters of Massive X. Actually, I can close that, and now, like, if I move this, like, if I move this macro knob, it actually moves my wavetable position. So that's what I want. But the thing is, now I don't want to have to assign the sliders every single time I open. You know, I don't want to go Control M and then assign all of these macros to my instrument every single time I open Ableton. I want that to be like kind of like hard-coded into the software. So in order to do that, we're going to create a custom user file. So here on the Ableton Ableton live page, we have this creating your own control surface script, and that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna head in this folder. So it depends if you're on a Mac or Windows. If you're on Windows, you can just press Windows R and go into the app data folder using the percentage like sign like so. And when you press OK, you're gonna end up here. Go to Ableton, your version of Ableton, and then Preferences, User Remote Scripts, and you're gonna have those two files. What you're gonna want to do now is you want to create a folder with the name of the preset of the control surface, and this will be accessible in Ableton right there. So if I open Live here, I go to Options, Preferences, and if I go to Midi and Control Surface, I can find my Keylab 49, which is the folder that I created. And the input is going to be your MIDI controller, of course. So now what you want to do is, knowing this, you can close the preferences. You can even close the VST. We won't really need it anymore. What you can do is, first of all, we can save that as a preset. So instrument track here, you can press the save preset button here to save it as a preset and access it from your library. So let's do that right now so I can show you. Here I just clicked it, it goes into presets, instrument track, and I can name it custom MIDI map or whatever. Okay, and now if I just close this, I can just double click it. I can add it to my favorite synth here. I can add it to a collection if I want to access it easily. And there we go, it loads up Massive and it loads up this macro mapping right away. Cool, so what I want to do now is actually press Ctrl M now, and I want to map these knobs. So the first one to my first slider, second one to my second slider, etc, etc. So here I'm mapping all of these sliders to my my controller, and I want to remember those numbers. So if I press Ctrl M now, actually I want to stay in Ctrl M knob, I can see that all of these macros here, they're mapped, so I can sort them by name. And what I want is take note of these numbers right there, because what we're going to do now is that we're going to go in the user remote script. So the folder that we opened before, we're going to take that user configuration text document. You can Control C, so copy and paste it inside of the folder that you created that have the name of your custom control surface mapping, and just paste it in here. So now you can open this up in any text editor. It's fine. And if you scroll down, so everything's written down pretty like. It's pretty straightforward, like you can read all of that. There's a lot of stuff that you can map using this function. I'm not gonna bother about any of that stuff except for the device control. So if you scroll down about 1/3 of the way, you'll find the device controls, and this is where you can actually change things up. So everything is written -1, which means like it's kind of a default. But what I want to do is actually change the -1 to each of these values. You see that I've already done it for the first one, just to see if it works. And it works pretty fine, so let's change that up. The second one here, so encoder 2 is going to be 75, 79, then 72, 80, 81, 82, 83. So let's copy that right there. 75, here, 75, 79, 72. Encoder 5 is 80, then 81, then 82, and then 83. There we go. Then I can just save that file. Little asterisk there just goes away. I can close that up. I can close Ableton. And when I reopen Ableton Live now, all right, I can just load my preset. Load up my preset. So that's the previous one that I did, but it's gonna work the same for your mapping that you did. And now, so if I press the plus button to, oh, actually, let me get the other one. So it was in like, where was it? Instruments. I think it's instrument rack. Yeah, presets, custom MIDI map. That's the one here that I created. So I can double click that. So that's the importance of adding it to whatever favorites that you want, so you can access it easily. Now if I just close that up and I don't want to go all the way here, I just go to orange and I know that it's right there. I can double click it and there we go. So now if I press, so you don't have the sound right now, but if I move my MIDI input, yeah, there we go. Sorry, I changed my mapping from a user to DAW. So make sure that your MIDI controller is in see, like in the Keylab 49. I have multiple MIDI presets that you can use. Make sure you're using one of the user ones, because like the DAW one is already mapped to track volumes, etc. So you don't want to use that one. So make sure you're using custom MIDI, user MIDI presets. And there we go. Now I have all my knobs mapped to each of my macro there, and I didn't have to edit the MIDI, so that allows me to like quickly jump in and be creative with my VST without having to remap the MIDI controls every single time. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you soon.